it in some ways, but before the Brits, I mean, because the thing is, they blame it a lot on the Brits. It wasn't just the Brits though. Before that, I think it was the Turks, wasn't it, who actually went into India? And before that, I think it was probably the Persians or something. So in that sense, someone's always colonised others because there's always been power play.
So therefore, how do you manage immigration? First of all, stop lying. The politicians, leaders, need to stop lying to people.
But I don't know why they're continuing with it.
There's obviously some kind of vested interest in terms of their own ideas and
I think
beliefs.
It's a bit above our pay grade, isn't it? Because a lot of people can't wrap their heads around it.
Well, they were wondering whether Angela Merkel was just trying to create some kind of European superstate. And in order to do that, you have to dissolve individual identities. But along the way, you're going to destroy millions and millions of lives.
But when you do it at that magnitude, it doesn't work.
Yeah, and also people don't mix. That's the problem. People never mix. If you watch even football teams, they don't mix. Football supporters, they don't mix.
Well, actually, you say, but people will mix when they find a common enemy, and all those people who would fight each other. When they find a common enemy, they will join forces. And one thing I did witness was there was a lot of these, what used to be these old football hooligans from different clubs, and they're not my favourite people, and they're not all racist. But the thing is, they're all actually joining forces as to. And going on these long marches and things like this, because now they've got a common interest against this immigration. And the thing is, it's not going to be long before they will join the old hooligans or the old football fan base or network that was in the likes of Poland, in the likes of Russia even, in the likes of these other countries who they used to fight against. And they're going to actually form one large type army of some sort. Okay. And that's going to actually be quite dangerous, because the inability to compromise is allowing people to go to the extreme. And this is what's happening. People who are moderates, who are then being accused of being racist, for example, are then shutting up. One of the reasons Donald Trump got in, by the way, they didn't say anything, they just voted. All right? So they're going all quiet. But what's happening is now you're getting the extremists talking, but the people in the middle, who are the moderates, are not saying anything, are actually leaning towards further to the right because of it.
Okay. I'm just worried we're doing a bit too much political commentary here, which is endlessly boring. That's
going to happen, because that's the flow, unless you're getting bored with it, Theo, are you?
No, it's boring for others, because we hear it all the time. So we're here to explain why things happen and how to fix them.
It's getting boring for others. I can't. Anyway, go on.
So as we said, how do you fix it? First of all, you don't lie to people. You don't tell them that immigration is controllable, because if you're adjusting your population by matters of percents every year, it's clearly not controllable. Secondly, if you do intend to, because you're such a lovely country and you want to help people out because of disasters caused in their countries, mainly by yourselves, then what you need to do is you need to be absolutely honest and say, look, we have an enormous deluge, a storm, a beast from the east, literally, of people coming in from the Far East and the Middle East, and what we have to do is to assimilate them. And you have to get everyone on board, not just say, well, it's going to work out, it's okay really, and we'll all enjoy extra wealth from the economic regeneration they bring and cultural diversity, because both of these are a fallacy. For instance, as Douglas Murray put it, when the first Indian came over, you may have enjoyed some extra Indian cooking, but then the next 1 million didn't bring 1 million new recipes. And quite frankly, in areas like Nigeria and Colombia, they're not clamouring for Welshmen to increase their own cultural diversity, are they?
Although Argentina did have Patagonia, where you can probably go and find a Jose Jones over there, or Llewellyn Rodriguez.
Okay, so the first thing is honesty. Otherwise, quite frankly, nobody will believe the media or politicians, and in fact, they already don't. Now we're back to what we were talking about in terms of religion, communism, and Western democracy and materialism. And we already said that the main way of controlling people is fear, and that by far the most powerful fear is offered by religion. And the genius of it is it never has to be materialized into reality and made tangible.
Hold on a second, Theo. So first of all, you're saying that we were getting bored talking about politics, and you just gone straight into religion.
No, I'm
So
just
some people that could be
summarising-
just as boring, could it not?
I'm just summarising what we discussed very briefly, so we can then move on.
Okay.
So we talked about that. Then we talked about the fact that people also enjoy the carrot, and indeed
They also enjoy the
carrot of being motivated by good things. And of course, in communism, there's very little of that. In the West, we're the slaves of instant gratification, where nothing's ever enough. And the genius again of religion is that you get an infinitely greater reward in the next life again.
Yeah, but I'm finding that more people are becoming less religious.
Well, that's the problem.
And the thing is, here you go, and this is what's something with political correctness. You now can't call Christmas Christmas. You have to call it, or in the States, I think they have to call it winter holidays
Because
or something.
it's a disintegrating society, and it's another sign that we're dangerously going to fall off the sine wave of civilization and either destroy this one or destroy the species.
Well, actually, do you know, I know the solution is, what we need is an alien attack, because that will be the common enemy where we can all
That will
unite together.
Unite us indeed.
Because right now I don't see the more different values and the more different cultures that you start pushing together, the more conflict you're going to actually have, the less harmony. And I can't understand the politicians who can't even see this. I mean, for me, it's just total incompetence.
Well, because politicians can't do anything. Politicians are there to be elected, and the latest and greatest that I had the honour of meeting was Margaret Thatcher, and she said the one thing that nobody else says, which is she said, I always did what I thought was right rather than what I thought people wanted me to do. And of course, almost all politicians that we know of are there to get elected, to further their careers, and to do what they think people want them to do. Margaret Thatcher stood up against them and said, this is what I think is right for the country. And very positive moves were made. And that's why she was respected and iconised and called the Iron Lady.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Margaret Thatcher, I always did. But I've actually been in several situations where I've been in very, I would have to say, steamy confrontations with people who were very anti-Margaret Thatcher, particularly in the north of England. Now, if you're a coal miner, I can probably understand why you would. But it was the same with Ronald Reagan. I remember when the air traffic controllers went on strike over there in the States. And he held to his guns, and they all had to return. And they all, I don't know if he sacked them all, or they all had to return to work. And that's what Margaret Thatcher infected with the miners over here.
Yeah, but unions are effectively mini communist states. So Margaret Thatcher addressed that problem.
Well, they do refer to themselves as comrades, don't they?
Of course they do.
And things like this. So in terms of finding the solution, it's all about vested interest, isn't it? So you got the West who are fearful of all these immigrants coming in. So they feel they're getting pushed out. They're getting less.
You're right. Humans, survival is an instinct, and obviously the ways to achieve it are vested interest, and ways to make your life more pleasant are vested interest. Everything you have is vested interest. The reason why the media are incapable of reporting objectively on anything is a matter of economy. They can't economically make objective news. It's been shown time and again with research. Vested interest. If you go to a solicitor, solicitors will almost always without exception, make a case run longer than it should because of their vested interest of getting paid money.
Yeah, tell me about it.
I've seen doctors give people, treat people with doses of medication that are which are inappropriate, or admit them unnecessarily to hospital to get the money if they're the doctors when they didn't need to be.
But the thing is, what provides the moral code, actually, and this was coming back to your topic that you love to talk about, is religion. That provides the moral code. I was, again, part of my book I'm writing today, I was writing about a code of honor. The samurai have theirs. They're probably the most famous, known as the Bushido Code, which they have their 7 virtues.
But what is religion, then?
Well, the 10 Commandments is a form of a moral code. Thou shalt not kill, for example.
You know, of course, one of the best ways to extend life and improve your mental health is to be part of a tight-knit family and a close community. And of course, religion gives you that again. It's a transcontinental tribe. It gives you a very close sense of belonging. Any Muslim can go up to another one right now, say, hello brother, how are you? Do you want to pray with me? And they'll do it and be best friends. That's the truth of it.
You see, the thing is, the only solution, which is why it can't be done because there's too many people coming from too many different angles, is what we originally had which is the smaller national state, even the States, even the United States. And it's one of the reasons why I think America went to war in the Civil War, was because the South wanted to secede. And they believe that each individual state should actually have their own sets of laws and their own set of rules, which is what they actually do in effect. And then they've got a federal one. And that's how we actually I believe that's actually how, in some ways, how we need to operate.
Yeah. So you can't use politics to lead. That's the big misnomer. Politics is actually from a Greek word, and it is to do with, literally translated, running of a city. It's nothing to do with leading a country. To lead a country, you need one person running it, and they leave the politics to the people on the ground level to run the place. Big difference.
Yeah, I believe
one is leading, the other's running.
I think, from what I understand, and I'm not so sure, so I may have to be corrected here. I think if something actually happens in Washington D.C., it's the mayor of Washington D.C. who's actually responsible for that, and the president. It's a local matter, and the president actually has to stay out of it, even though that's right on his doorstep. But someone would probably have to correct me on that. I'm not 100% on that. So in that sense, having setting one set of rules for so many different cultures, so many different belief systems, just doesn't. It's just not working.
Correct. Now, just going back to certain things in terms of what makes people feel good. One, we talked about the fear and the reward. Then we talked about sense of belonging, and there's also structure. People need structure. The more structure you give people, then again, the calmer they get. In other words, the less choice you give people, the calmer they are. The more choice you give people, actually, the more dissatisfied they get. And we've talked about this many times, and Barry Schwartz talks about it in his TED Talks. And of course, religion gives that to you again.
Not just
it
religion,
gives you structure.
Any set of rules gives structure.
Not quite. Religion says to you, for instance, if we talk about the Muslims again, pray 5 times a day. That's quite a rigid structure. When you go to church, ideally, you say you go to church on Sundays, and then there are things that you do with the church.
But you know that works
and then there's
in
praying.
countries like the Middle East. But if not everybody's abiding to that, then how can actually everybody be in line?
Big problem.
So the thing is, it doesn't work.
But the point is that Islam is something where enormous amounts of Muslims do abide by, and they do pray. And again, if you look at praying, when a Muslim touches the floor with their forehead, they are seen at that point to be in direct communication with Allah, which is their word for God. And at that point, it's a sense of great joy and ecstasy. Now, they're achieving that feeling 5 times a day. That's very similar to the NLP version of anchoring.
That's correct.
Or neurofeedback for trying to improve mood by achieving certain mood states. These guys do it every day, 5 times a day, with a rigid structure surrounding it.
But hold on, Theo. I think you're missing the point here, mate. Their structure, if it's not compatible with other people's belief systems,
correct,
then nobody. Then
we're talking about religion separately here.
No, but we're talking
religion.
about leadership. We're talking about vested interest. It's in their vested interest to pray 5 times a day. So it's in their vested interest to get as much as they possibly can for them to be happier.
Yeah, what we're saying is what makes people happy, and then separately what the vested interest is. Now, you're right. You can't have different religions functioning in one country because you need to have one single identity. And the royal families, we said, got it right. They even made Meghan Markle become Protestant. They made her say, you've got to go to church and be Protestant, because I think she was Catholic, wasn't she?
I'm not sure. Actually, I don't think she was, but
whatever it was, she had to be confirmed Protestant.
Well, I mean, look, if she was Catholic, she wasn't a Protestant Catholic because she's divorced. But look, even you talk about Ivanka Trump, she converted to Judaism when she married.
Excellent point.
When she married her partner.
Why? Because children need to have a single, clear message from their parents.
And what was her name? Jemima Goldsmith, who she became a Muslim. Excuse me. She became a Muslim.
When she married the cricketer.
Yeah, Khan. So Khan is a Muslim name.
Yep.
Isn't that right? So she converted to Islam. I don't know whether she still is or not.